Now we're going to make some buttons. So before we do, I just want to show you something interesting over here. The FPS here is your frames per second. Typically that's depending on what you're trying to produce and how fast or how slow your movie has to work and how much space it can take up. I'm going to set mine to 25 to make it super smooth. That will cause problems if we want to upload it later. It may end up being a little bit too big on the memory side, but it'll look nice and smooth on the screen while we're learning to use it. Also the size. You can change the size of the stage here. So you can have a nice long, narrow, or a big wide screen, whatever you want to do to work off. The stage color can also be changed here. Okay. Now, before we start drawing our buttons, notice the stroke color here is going to be set to nothing, to null. And the fill color, you can just choose anything you like. That'll make things nice and clear for you to see. We're going to use the rectangle tool here, and we're going to draw a rectangle. And we're going to make this a button just by right-clicking on it and choosing Convert to Symbol. If you're using a PC, you can use F8 for this. Okay, give it a name. Make sure you choose button when you're giving it a name. This is a symbol. This is a special type of graphic. Okay, we've got to choose button here and then choose OK. Rightio. Now, to get into the timeline for this actual graphic, this actual button, all we do is we choose the selection tool at the top and we double click it. Because this is a button, it has an up, an over, a down, and a hit state. So what we need to do is we need to put a keyframe in here by right-clicking, insert keyframe, and that gives it an overstate. In the overstate, we're going to make the button slightly bigger. The free transform tool here, third tool down, will let us make the button slightly bigger. Okay, so we can also nudge it around with the arrow keys. So this has an upstate and an overstate. Okay, so let's just preview that pretty quick. Command return previews. You open up an SWF file, and you can roll over and you can see the button changing ever so slightly as you roll over it. Every button has an up, an over, a down, and a hit state. The down hit state, we're going to put a keyframe in here. Notice I'm putting in a keyframe and not a blank keyframe. The keyframe copies whatever is in the frame beside it. A blank keyframe is a blank keyframe. It'll be an empty space. So on the down area, we're going to make the button even bigger so it looks like it's being squished down a little bit. And the hit state is basically the area that makes the button work. So if you actually decide to put anything in the hit state, you might want to draw the button slightly larger or slightly smaller. Whatever you draw in the hit keyframe will not appear. It'll only be an invisible area that lets you click. So once again, we preview the movie by hitting Command Return, roll over it, and if we push down on it, it squishes a little bit bigger. We're going to make a few buttons that way, and we're going to add some audio to them next.